Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today we're going to be taking a tour of my muscle car garage in Grand Theft Auto Online. So if you guys haven't noticed, I have been doing a bit of a series recently where I'm going through my garages and showing them off to you guys. I figured next up would be the muscle car garage because a lot of you guys have been requesting that, so here we are. Now before we get into anything more here, I just want to say, because on my last garage tour that I did, there were a couple people asking where certain cars of mine are. Some of these cars are in different garages, and these are not all of the muscle cars that I own. This is just my primary muscle car garage, and I've got other muscle cars, you know, scattered around at other places. Same with supercars, same with sports cars, all of that stuff. These are just my main grouping of them, I guess. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and start off on my right. And of course, the car that we're starting off with is the Vapid Blade. Now, the Vapid Blade is a great car in Grand Theft Auto Online. This thing is super underrated. I love how the Vapid Blade looks. I love how it performs. This thing is overall just a fantastic vehicle. It doesn't have much customization, but it is relatively cheap. I believe it goes for somewhere around $150,000. And for that price, you get a fantastic car. This thing has awesome handling for being a muscle car. It's also really interestingly shaped. It's kind of squatted at the back, which on trucks I'm not a fan of, but the Vapid Blade, it can get a pass. Definitely a pretty underrated car, definitely one that I would recommend as well. On to the next vehicle, we of course have the Bravado Buffalo STX. I customized this relatively recently on the channel. Really happy with how it turned out. I haven't changed the customization at all whatsoever on this thing. It's got the bronze rims on it. It's got the blue racing stripes, and that's pretty much it. I go on and on about the Bravado Buffalo STX all the time. Obviously, it's got Imani tech, which is really nice. It's got machine guns. It's got an oil slick dropper. Really good car, handles amazingly well. This is the fastest muscle car in the game around a circuit as well, so that is pretty cool. That's it for the Bravado Buffalo STX. On to the next vehicle, which is of course the Vapid Dominator GTT. Now this thing was formerly the second fastest muscle car in the game, and actually at one point it was the fastest muscle car in the game, just very narrowly beating out the Vapid Click, which is another great muscle car for racing. However, since the Tuners DLC vehicles have been nerfed, the Dominator GTT is a little bit less quick than it once was. However, that's not to say it's a bad car. It's still great. It handles awesomely. It looks amazing as well. Overall, just a very good car. Oh, and the customization is absolutely awesome for this thing. You can change it so much. It's great. So that's it for the Dominator GTT. Let's move on to the next vehicle. And of course, the next vehicle is the Dominator GTX. Now the Dominator GTX, this thing was actually the fastest muscle car around most circuits in the entire game. It has an absolutely piss weak top speed, and it has really poor acceleration, but it has great handling. Perhaps the best handling out of any muscle car until the Bravado Buffalo STX was added. I can't honestly say how much I wish that this thing did not have engine resistance, because it's such a cool looking car. It's got great customization. I love everything about this vehicle. However, the engine resistance just completely ruins the car for me, which is really unfortunate. However, it is still a really cool car, and it's definitely one that I would recommend picking up if you guys have some of the other cars already. That's it for the Dominator GTX. Let's move on to the next car. And last but not least, on this side of the garage, we have the Vapid Apocalypse Imperator. Now obviously this is a clean version of the Imperator. I've taken every single Arena War upgrade off of this vehicle in order to make it the clean version of the Imperator, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. I don't drive this car very much, but from what I remember, it does have pretty good handling. Looks okay in my opinion, not the best looking car ever obviously, but it is still pretty good, I have to say. Definitely a cool car, and it's definitely a lot cooler when it's clean in my opinion compared to the Arena War stuff. Don't get me wrong, the Arena War stuff is pretty fun, but the car is just a lot cleaner when, well, it's clean, so I guess that makes sense. That is it for the Imperator. It's time to move on to the other side of the garage, and of course, the vehicle we have here is the Bravado Gauntlet Hellfire. Now the Hellfire, I don't think I really have to talk about this thing too much. Similar to the STX, I go on and on about this thing quite often. Definitely one of the more fun muscle cars in Grand Theft Auto Online, if not the most fun muscle car. This thing can drift, this thing can power slide, do donuts, whatever you want it to do. The Gauntlet Hellfire will do, except for turn and not spin out. That is one thing that this thing won't do. It's very quick in a straight line, has great acceleration, has a pretty decent top speed as well. And on top of that, it also has absolutely fantastic customization, so you can make this thing super unique. Overall, the Gauntlet Hellfire for $735,000 is a fantastic car, definitely one that I recommend. Next up, we have the Bravado Gauntlet Classic. Now, the Gauntlet Classic is definitely a pretty sweet old muscle car in GTA Online, based entirely off of a Dodge Challenger from the 1970s. I would say it's probably based off of a 1970 Dodge Challenger. There are elements of other cars in this thing, don't get me wrong, but I'd say very primarily it's based off of the Challenger. This thing's pretty good in a straight line. Obviously they are muscle cars, so it's not very great when it comes to turning a lot. However, it is still a really, really good car. Definitely has great customization, and of course you can upgrade the Gauntlet Classic into the Gauntlet Classic Custom, which makes it look like a Dodge Charger Daytona, which is really sick. So great car, definitely recommend this thing. Absolutely awesome. Next up, we have the Declassy Sabre Turbo. Now, this is a car that you can steal right off of the street in Grand Theft Auto Online. So if you want one of these, you can get it for absolutely no cost to you. So that is pretty awesome. Now, this thing, for being a free car, actually has really, really good customization. I love how this thing turned out. I believe that I have a salmon pink or a cream on this thing with a secondary as black. I love how it looks. I think this is definitely one of my favorite muscle cars in this garage. I think it's super clean. You guys might not agree, but I really like this. I think it looks awesome. Definitely a car that I'd recommend checking out if you guys don't have one. I mean, like I said, you can literally steal it for free off of the street and make it look like this. So I would say, you know, go for it if you're interested. And last but not least, in the muscle car garage, we of course have the Willys Faction. This thing is based off of like a 1980 Buick Regal or some sort of car like that. There's other cars that, you know, look very similar to this, but I'd say it's primarily based off a Buick Regal from like 1986 or something, maybe like that, maybe 1981. Can't exactly remember the year off the top of my head, but regardless, it's a great car. Unfortunately, in GTA, it does not have that much customization, which is kind of unfortunate, but it is still a really, really fun car to drive. Actually has pretty decent handling, definitely good acceleration, that's for sure, and an alright top speed as well. The Willys Faction, I feel like, is a pretty underrated muscle car in GTA Online. Definitely one to check out if you guys have never seen one before. It's pretty sick. So guys, that has been it for my muscle car garage in Grand Theft Auto Online. Let me know what you guys thought of my muscle cars in the comments down below. Let me know if you want to see more garage tours and what you'd like to see tours of course. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. It is of course appreciated. If not, dislike. Subscribe if you guys are new, and I will see you all in the next video. Until then, take care. Peace.